James Barra's Shoshana Alexander, Awakening Joy, 10 Steps to True Happiness. Modern life pulls attention in every direction. Mornings blur into a rush of alarms, emails, and misplaced keys, and by lunchtime you may already feel worn thin. Even small joys like warm sunlight through a window or a friend's quick message barely register because your mind is already leaning into whatever is next. It's easy to assume that lasting joy requires dramatic change, but the real turning point usually begins much closer to home. What's surprising is that your mind already knows how to make life feel brighter. You can sense it when you slow down enough to really taste your coffee, or when a moment of genuine connection cuts through the noise of the day. These brief pauses offer an important clue. Joy becomes more accessible when you create space to notice your inner experience, rather than chasing constant stimulation. The good news is that this sense of ease can be cultivated deliberately. Simple, practical habits can turn happiness from a lucky accident into something more reliable. In this blink, you'll learn how to steady yourself during difficult moments so discouragement doesn't take over, and how to rediscover small wonders that once felt natural, like a child's curiosity. Over time, these shifts add up, shaping a way of living that supports more calm, more clarity, and deeper confidence in yourself. Mindfulness can reawaken your innate sense of joy. Most of us move through the day at top speed, treating busyness like a badge of honor. Meetings, messages, errands, repeat. Meanwhile, real moments of sweetness drift by almost unnoticed. Your child handing you a drawing, your partner plating up something delicious, or just looking outside and seeing the first frost of the season. These scenes are tiny but powerful. They have the potential to lift your entire day. The catch is, you have to notice them. That's where mindfulness comes in. At its core, mindfulness is about waking up to your life. Think of a tough afternoon when you feel wiped out and discouraged. Then you sit across from someone you love, catch their eye, and suddenly feel a surge of warmth. Nothing dramatic happened. You just tuned in. And that's the point. Joy doesn't usually shout. It shows up quietly and waits for you to pay attention. This kind of presence taps into the curiosity we all had as kids. Ordinary stuff starts to feel surprising again. A spider web becomes a tiny engineering marvel. You realize that reading the word blue creates the color in your mind, just like the word pizza makes your mouth water. The world is full of these small wonders. We just forget to look. Even chores can shift. Washing dishes, for example, usually feels like the definition of dull. But if you actually tune into the warmth of the water and the rhythm of your hands, it becomes calming. The dishes don't change. Your perspective does. The tricky part is that being present takes practice. Minds are prone to wandering off on their own. 1 minute you smell your morning coffee. 5 minutes later, the cup is empty and you have no memory of drinking it. No need to beat yourself up. You're simply learning how your attention works. A few minutes a day can start to retrain your mind. Sit quietly, feel your breath, and watch what your thoughts do. When they run away, guide them back. Gently is the key. A sense of humor helps too. Daily routines are perfect places to try this out. When the phone rings, take one slow breath before answering. Waiting in line can become a tiny break instead of a frustration. A short walk around the block can feel grounding if you pay attention to each step. Doing one thing at a time also makes mindfulness easier. Multitasking scatters your attention, while unitasking sharpens it. With small, steady practice, you start to feel more anchored and alive. And that means joy has an easier time finding you. Mindfulness can also help you navigate painful emotions. Joy is easy when life is smooth. The real challenge is staying open to it when things get complicated or painful. Everyone hits rough patches, yet most of us tense up or rush to distract ourselves the moment a difficult feeling shows up. Joy, though, becomes more reliable when you learn to face these moments with a bit more curiosity and a bit less panic. Mindfulness, which already helped you notice small everyday joys, can also steady you when life feels shaky. A handy tool for this is the RAIN method. It breaks the whole process down into 4 steps that help your emotions feel less overwhelming. The first step is to recognize what you're feeling. Naming the emotion makes it less intense. During a heated conversation, quietly admitting this is anger helps keep you grounded. When you notice a sinking feeling, calling it sadness helps you soften instead of clamping down. Even "I'm confused" keeps you from spinning out. Nothing fancy, just noticing what's actually happening inside you. The second step is to allow the feeling. This is the part most people want to skip. It's tempting to drown discomfort in streaming shows or food or an endless scroll. Allowing a feeling doesn't mean wallowing. It simply means letting it be there for a moment without trying to shove it away or turn it into something nicer. Think of it like sitting beside a friend who's having a tough time. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to be present. The third step is to investigate with interest. Once you've named and allowed the emotion, you get curious about it. Where does it live in your body? Does anxiety tighten your stomach? Does frustration heat up your face? Does sadness feel like a weight in your chest? Notice whether the sensations change as you pay attention. There's no need to understand why anything is happening. You're simply exploring the experience the way you might explore a new landscape. The final step is non-identification. Instead of thinking, "I am an anxious person," you shift to "anxiety is here right now." Emotions come and go. They don't define your whole personality, and they certainly aren't unique to you. Realizing this takes the edge off and reminds you that you're experiencing something human, not something broken. Using RAIN builds trust in your own capacity to handle strong emotions. They rise, they peak, and they fade. Knowing this makes it easier to face tough moments without bracing for disaster, which creates more room for joy to return. Figuring out who you actually are, not who you think you should be, is a recipe for joy. We all carry stories about who we are and how life works. Many of these stories were formed in childhood, long before we had the tools to question them. A teacher's harsh comment, a parent's worry, a difficult school year, or a moment of embarrassment can quietly turn into beliefs like, "I always mess things up," or "people never really like me." These stories often run in the background and shape how we react in the present, even when they have outlived their usefulness. As with negative feelings, noticing these stories is the first step in loosening their grip. You don't have to banish them with force. You simply start spotting them. Words like "always" and "never" usually give them away. They act like blinders that block out the bigger picture. Imagine a friend who failed one exam and suddenly concludes they'll never succeed at anything. From the outside, it looks exaggerated, yet many of us do the same thing with our own inner commentary. A simple way to explore these patterns is to ask yourself 3 questions. First, what story keeps limiting your sense of ease or joy? Maybe it's, "I have to please everyone," or "I'm not cut out for real happiness." Second, what happens in your body and mind when you believe the story? Maybe your shoulders tense or your stomach knots. Third, what shifts when you treat the story as just a story and let it float by like a cloud? Most people notice a surprising amount of space opening up. This kind of reflection becomes especially helpful when you're caught in an inner struggle. Instead of wrestling with the feeling, pause and ask, "What story am I believing right now?" You might even write that question on a card and keep it in your bag. Every time you remember to ask it, you create a little crack in the story's certainty. Over time, that crack gets bigger. Letting go of your personal soap opera does not erase the past. It simply keeps you from being defined by an outdated script. The moment you loosen your grip, you may notice how heavy the story felt. You may also notice a small sense of relief, the way you feel after dropping a bag you didn't realize was so heavy. As you shift attention away from the constant narrative and toward the immediacy of the moment, something fresh appears. You start feeling less like a character in a long-running drama and more like a living, changing being. New moods, new insights, and small bursts of curiosity begin to show up. When you stop insisting on who you're supposed to be, you become free to discover who you actually are. Loving yourself creates space for confidence, ease, and joy. Most of us dream of meeting someone who gets us completely, someone who laughs at our jokes and understands our worries. The funny thing is, this person already exists. You live with them every day. Learning to love that person is one of the most reliable ways to feel more grounded and joyful. This kind of love grows slowly. It starts with dropping the habit of beating yourself up. Many people carry a long list of personal complaints. Maybe you think your body should look different. Maybe you wish you were funnier, or smarter, or calmer. Maybe you replay old mistakes and cringe. Over time, these judgments start to feel like facts rather than thoughts. They drain energy and make joy feel out of reach. The shift begins when you stop staring only at what feels wrong and start noticing what's good, even if it feels like a tiny step. You don't need to love every part of yourself, but you do need to stop organizing your identity around your flaws. The Babemba, a tribe in southern Africa, have an interesting tradition. When someone in the community messes up, everyone gathers to remind that person of every kind thing they've ever done. The group holds up a mirror that reflects their goodness. Imagine giving yourself even a small dose of that. It can change the way you move through the day. To make this real, get specific. Vague cheerleading like "you're amazing" rarely works because a quiet voice inside says, "Really?" Instead, point to something concrete. Maybe you listened patiently to a friend. Maybe you kept going through a tough week at work. Maybe you apologized when it mattered. These details help you see your own strength. This is where a growth mindset becomes helpful. Instead of thinking you are supposed to have everything figured out already, you remind yourself you are learning. Challenges become chances to stretch rather than proof that something is wrong with you. When someone offers useful feedback, you take it in. When you see someone doing something impressive, you treat it as inspiration rather than a reason to compare. People who approach life this way tend to grow into their potential because they are not trapped by a fear of failure. Even a small moment of recognizing your own goodness can soften years of self-criticism. As you keep looking for what is healthy and kind in yourself, the negative voice inside gets quieter. A warmer voice starts to take its place. Over time, this gives you a sense of space and ease that makes joy easier to access, even on the days that feel messy. To find joy, you must embrace the challenge of boredom. Most people push hard through the day. They want to get things done, stay ahead, and keep up with whatever demands show up next. Rest often feels like something to earn rather than something you're entitled to have. Yet real joy grows in the moments when you stop trying so hard. Letting yourself settle, even briefly, often reveals a sense of ease that was already there. This kind of rest isn't about collapsing on the sofa and zoning out. It's about pausing long enough to feel the present moment again. Think of it as the counterweight to all the doing in your life. A short pause can be as simple as sitting quietly with your coffee before the morning rush, or taking 5 slow breaths in the car before turning the key. These small gaps help you find your inner bearings. Without them, you can lose your sense of direction without even noticing. The beauty of this approach is that it carries into daily life. A martial arts student starts by practicing defensive movements slowly, one at a time. With repetition, those movements become natural, even under pressure. One day, they're able to fend off 3 attackers. In the same way, a few calm moments each day train your mind to find steadiness even when everything around you feels busy. To taste this steadiness, try taking a moment of being in the middle of whatever you are doing. Notice your thoughts. Notice your body. Notice your breath. You're not forcing anything to happen. Awareness shows up on its own. You just give it room. This simple shift can feel surprisingly spacious, like opening a window in a stuffy room. Moments like these help you become friends with your own mind. You no longer need constant entertainment or distraction to feel okay. There is a quiet contentment in simply being present. A Tibetan monk once joked that the big breakthrough in spiritual practice is boredom. It sounds odd at first, but the idea is straightforward. As long as you chase stimulation, you stay restless. When you stop chasing, your mind finally settles. What feels like boredom at first often softens into calm. This ability to rest in the moment weaves together everything explored so far. Mindfulness opens your senses. Rain helps you handle hard emotions. Letting go of old stories frees you from outdated versions of yourself. Self-love gives you a kinder inner world to stand on. And resting in simple presence ties it all together by showing you that joy does not need to be hunted down. It grows naturally when you give yourself the space to breathe, pause, and simply be. In this link to Awakening Joy by James Baraz and Shoshana Alexander, You've learned that joy grows when you slow down, pay attention, and meet your own experience with honesty and warmth. Mindfulness helps you notice small moments that brighten your day. Curiosity toward difficult emotions keeps them from running your life. Letting go of old stories gives you room to grow. Self-kindness strengthens your confidence and steadiness. Regular pauses help your mind settle. When you live this way, joy feels less like a chase and more like something that rises naturally within you. Okay, and that is it for this Blink. We really hope you enjoyed it. And if you can, please take the time to leave us a rating because we always appreciate your feedback. I'll see you in the next Blink. Bye.